All right, pleased to be joined now by Austin Layton, my guy Austin. It's been a little bit since we've chatted last. Pretty fun spring training. I mean, we're kind of getting into the dog days of spring training. Like these last couple weeks are just like kind of brutal with how long it takes getting up to the regular season. But for spring training, there's been a lot of excitement.
It has been, and yeah, it's good to be back, man. And it's getting like we were just talking. It's getting that time of year where it's getting warm out. It's staying lighter longer. It feels like it's almost baseball season now too. And like the past 3 days, I think at least they've been on TV in some capacity, whether it's FanDuel or MLB TV. So like I'm getting in the routine of like making it a point to watch the Reds every day. Like it just feels like it's June or something. But I'm glad to be talking Reds baseball. I think, this team's as exciting as any. Terry Francona obviously at the helm. So I love it, man. I'm back.
What's kind of been your thoughts on Terry and all the interviews and clips and everything we've seen from him?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, you can tell that like he's a guy that gets along with like just about everybody that he talks to. And like, whether that be Jim Day, in the dugout or, anybody else that you kind of see doing pre and post game type stuff with them. But I think it's just funny because like I can tell that he's kind of a funny guy too, I guess is what I'm trying to say about that. And like, he'll be mid dugout interview and like, comment on the play that's going on in the field. And it's just like his little one-liner riffs, I think is I don't know. It's going to be very entertaining from that aspect. And like the way that he's been handling the team of kind of getting guys ready pitching wise and stuff, like he's making moves that I agree with as far as like not rushing dudes to push their limits and things like that and taking like steer kind of slowly. Like, I don't know. So far, like I haven't seen anything I haven't liked yet. I guess it's spring training. So like the margin for error, like, you have some wiggle room there, but I like it so far. And I think, obviously his reputation is as good as anybody. What's your thoughts so far, though? What are you happy with it? Everything that's been going
Yeah, I
on?
mean, just Terry Francona is just one of a kind. Like, just no one else has a manager like him. That just he's so fun and like honestly, it's gonna be hard for me like because he's gonna do some things this season. Like, I think he's gonna bat Ellie third, and I don't really like that. But I'm gonna have a hard time like really criticizing the guy just because he's so awesome. Like
Right.
he's so easy to root for. Um, but yeah, I mean, like it's just I'm excited. Reds fans are really kind of getting to know him because living up here in Cleveland, I knew how like just great of a baseball dude that he is, and I'm enjoying Reds fans getting the not even the full taste because wait till the regular season starts and you get him in these press conferences every night. You're just gonna be like, wow, this is something else. Something today. We're recording on Monday. You're listening on Tuesday. Hunter Greene. Wow. Another great start from him. 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Last 2 starts for Greene, 8 innings, 1 run, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. It's spring training, but Hunter Greene wasn't very good in spring training last year. He looks just ready for I don't want to say breakout because he got Cy Young votes last year, but he looks like he's ready to take even another step to maybe another level this season.
Yeah, and I think he started off pretty rough with those first two outings, and he's kind of getting hit around a little bit. And it's one of those things where like you don't want to look into too much spring training numbers. You hear guys all the time are working on pitches or throwing pitches when they necessarily wouldn't come regular games and things like that. But once you get to kind of this like March, mid March, especially time frame of pitching, you want to see guys kind of doing well because they might be working stuff out still, but like if they're still getting shelled, like whatever they're working on is not great, right? So like at some point you want to see these guys put together, 4 inning outings like he has been, and 1 or 2 earned runs, isn't anything too crazy. But I think yeah, like he's looking like he's picking up where he left off when he was at his best last year, which you want to see because you don't want that to just be like the flash in the pan and then he kind of regresses back or never touches that again. Because I think if the Reds want to do what we want them to do this year, like he's gonna be your number one, and I think guys like Lodolo and Singer are going to be, close 2 and 3 with him. But he's kind of the dude, man. Like he's the opening day starter. He's had all the hype in the world. Like they got to get this one kind of right with him, I think, for the team to be successful. And he needs to mostly, I think, at this point in the spring for sure too. Like you just want to see guys building up that durability and kind of pitch count and not really showing any signs of, oh, I got a sore shoulder blister on my finger or something like that. But so at this point, it's everything that you would kind of want for like I can deal with a couple of early starts that were rough. Those are short inning outings anyway. So I think he's trending in the right direction, man. And I think I don't want to put not that, and I'm putting pressure on him that doesn't exist, but like I mean, if he keeps this up, like he's going to be back in that Cy Young conversation again. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but he got votes to your point last year, and I think it's reasonable to think that he could have as good or slightly improved year anyway. So put him in the contention, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah, Hunter Greene, last year obviously had a great year, 2.75 ERA. Baseball Reference had him as 6.3 wins above replacement. But you might have forgotten he got off to a little bit of a slow start last year. Through his first 5 starts, had a 4.55 ERA. Now, some of the advanced stats, if you look at it, would have said, yeah, he wasn't as bad as it panned out to be. But after his first 5 starts, so starting from April 23rd to the rest of the year, in 21 starts, he had a 2.35 ERA. So if Hunter's able to get to opening day and be a little further along than he was last year and be a little more dominant from the jump, that's where it's like it's hard to say, like, is he going to get better from a 2.75 ERA, because that's about as good as it gets, especially when you play your home games at Great American Ballpark, right? But again, last year he really struggled in spring training. If he's a little bit further along, and just watching his last 2 starts, certainly looked like he's locked in and ready to go at the start of the season. That'll be something interesting to see.
Yeah, and I don't remember exactly when he turned the corner on it last year, but it seemed like a lot of those early starts, pitch efficiency was like a huge issue for him too. Like he'd have like I don't know 100 pitches in like the 5th inning. It seemed like on occasion, and when he started doing well, it seemed like to be around the same time that he also kind of figured that out. And obviously, with his track record of injuries and things like that over the past couple of years, you want to keep that arm as fresh as possible if he can be efficient, especially in the early part of the year. You don't want to get that snowballing effect where they just, expecting him to go out there and throw, 100 plus pitches every game. I think, that's going to be huge too, because we need these guys to stay healthy as much as they can as well. And if he can figure out a way to be, his best self when also, not exiting games early and, just tiring himself out more than he needs to, I think that's going to help at least preserve his kind of longevity too this year and obviously in the future even as well.
Well, good news on Monday. 4 innings through 49 pitches, 37 of them strikes. So certainly pitch efficient against the Padres lineup. We'll see how that shakes out. We also want to remind you that you can call or text 988 anytime, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is a place to get support for anything related to mental health. Whether it's an immediate crisis, simply wanting to find out how to connect with care, or anything in between, it's a 100% confidential, secure, and anonymous way to reach out for help when you don't know where else to turn. To connect, call or text 988 or visit mantherapy.org to get help. It's okay not to be okay. Some news on Monday. Andrew Abbott is going to make his spring debut on Wednesday. He probably has enough time to get ramped up for opening day. We'll see how he looks. You have to think he has the upper leg, but I don't know. Graham Ashcraft has looked pretty good as well. I thought he looked really good on Sunday. I think I loved about Graham Ashcraft on Sunday was he gave up back-to-back doubles to get the game started. And it's like, all right, here we go. And then he was dominant after that. It felt like things have snowballed in the past with Ashcraft, and he hasn't been able to recover. Really good to see him do that. I don't know. This last rotation spot, I kind of feel like Graham Ashcraft is maybe a little bit underrated. I think everyone just said put him in the bullpen. And it kind of reminds me, Austin, of a time last year when there was a pitcher that everyone said he has to be a reliever. He can't start. He's only good as a reliever. And that was Nick Martinez. And boy, did he prove everyone wrong in the second half. I'm not saying that'll happen with Graham Ashcraft, but I don't think we should say that there's no possibility of that happening.
No, and to your point, Martinez, played so well, he got himself a nice contract out of it too. But no, and I think to your point about guys like Abbott and even Louder, I mean, Ashcraft's kind of the guy that's on the standard progression pitch wise, where he's basically going to be ready. Now, I know there's been some talk that like that first week of the season with their off days and kind of how the schedule works out, you maybe don't even need a fifth starter. But I mean, if you're going to go out, breaking out of camp, I think just based on who's going to be kind of ready at that point, and maybe a week into the season, it's probably Ashcraft, right? Like, if Louder's ramping up and Abbott's just getting his first start tomorrow, like it might just be Ashcraft, not by default, but like close enough to that, which I think makes sense, obviously from a health standpoint and kind of where they're at in their progression. But then also to your point, like he's pitched pretty well, so it's like if you can get Ashcraft, I mean, people kind of forget that. I feel like that he was kind of expected to be part of their big three a couple of years ago with Lodolo and Greene, and it kind of fell apart since then. But I think like if you can get him back to kind of that level of back half of the rotation, even at this point, kind of guy. Like that's really all we need. And I think, the reason they want to put him in the bullpen or at least talk about that is because he's got good stuff. So if you can keep that good stuff going through, 4 or 5 innings a game, that's going to be huge for this team. And I think it's also a good problem to have because like we're talking about all these guys like we think could be fifth starters, and like there's been years in the past where we're wondering who the heck our third and fourth and fifth starter are going to be. So like and especially with this team's health, like you want to have these dudes kind of ready to go. But I think if we had to break like right now, I think I'd pick Ashcraft at least at this point.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands right now, I think there's a lot of teams that would take whoever is the Reds guy they shipped down to AAA. There'd be a lot of teams that want him in their rotation. Now we shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves. There's a good chance the Reds need Abbott and Ashcraft on opening day, just because we know how much of a risk it is for pitchers and they get hurt quite frequently. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but that always is a possibility. So we don't want to jump too far ahead of ourselves. One last topic for you, Austin. It was pretty obvious that Noelvi Marte was not going to make the opening day 26-man roster as spring went on, but the Reds make it official on Monday. I didn't really wasn't surprised by it. I know some people thought, oh, this is really early. No, I didn't really put a whole lot of stock into it. They just did what needed to be done, and he's going to go down to AAA, and let's just hope and pray that he can have a great season and at some point come back and help the Reds.
Yeah, get him some consistent reps down there. To your point, it's like we seemingly have like 4 other options ahead of him right now, at least. And, knock on wood, all those guys stay healthy. But like, I think Lux has looked pretty good defensively at third base, which I think was kind of the main concern at putting him there. Obviously, he could hit, but it's where is he going to play? But the throws that I've seen him make and kind of picking it at third base, he's looked good. You got Candelario, you got probably CES could even move over there. I know they've been trying him over there a little bit. I don't expect him to play a whole lot, but could if he needed to. And Santiago Espinal has been playing pretty well. So, but you got all these choices above him. He hasn't been playing great. Like somebody's got to go down. It probably wasn't gonna be any of those guys. So it makes sense. And at that, I don't think we've seen the last of Marte. Like he's definitely gonna probably get called up sooner rather than later, just with how baseball works out. But send him down there. Hopefully, he can get into a groove. Like I think it's still a dude that has a lot of potential, but we just haven't seen it in the past 12 months. But I don't think it's a lost cause by any means. So it's good. It's a good dude to have down there, right? Depth.
Yeah, still only 23 years old. Let's hope he can, get back on track. Something clicks for him. I know when he got promoted to AA, he wasn't necessarily tearing it up at Dayton. His numbers weren't as bad as we saw in the big leagues by any stretch. They were okay, but it just kind of clicked for him all at once. And let's hope it can click for him again. Certainly no reason to give up, but at this point, this is kind of what he is, and hopefully he's not Jose Barrero 2.0. Hopefully he's just a guy that just has growing pains, because the baseball is littered with players like Noelvi Marte that are in everyday lineups right now that got called up. They struggled. They got sent back down. Maybe they go up and down several times, and it takes that 4th or 5th time getting called back up for it to really click. And I don't see any reason why it can't be Noelvi Marte. So we'll see on that. Well, Austin, my friend, always great chatting a little Reds baseball with you. I'm sure we'll catch up again here in the last couple weeks here leading up to opening day.
Good talking with you, Nick. Let's go Reds.